Hey,
Hello.
oh,
Hello,
hey.
hello. Jodi Day.
Yeah, Jodi Day. Ah,
Feels like coming
Jodi.
home again. Everything we do all week long, the other
Mm.
channels we do, the trials we do, and then there's Jodi.
Then it's Jodi Day. Every Saturday, every Tuesday. Mm. How are you doing today, Dave?
I am doing good. I've had somewhat of a productive morning working in the yard. I jumped on Baker for a little bit. His Stabber Day stream,
Mm.
Saturday morning stream. By the way, if you guys don't know the Broken Baker, he's Danish, but don't hold it against him. Otherwise, he does some trial coverage. It's really entertaining. On Saturday mornings, he does this Sabber Day, and I kind of put it out there as it's like Saturday morning cartoons, but for adults and on YouTube. And it's just entertaining stuff. It's a nice way to wake up and spend your Saturday morning.
Mm. It is. It is. Yeah. And how are my intestines today?
Oh yeah,
Surprisingly good so far. Um, not as bad as I thought it would be, or it's still to come. Yeah, for you who don't know, I had a shot or chili finally Friday shot or chili day yesterday, and it was a few shots and it was a few chilies, and it ended with Jay's peach ghost scorpion. That was an interesting one.
that sounds
That
horrible.
that was hot. That was really really hot.
I'm seeing a lot of new people in the chat today, which is awesome.
Oh,
Maybe we give a
nice.
little recap of what we've done so far with Jodi if they haven't watched us. Maybe some of them have watched our prior streams, but this is the trial of Jodi Arias. And in 2008, she allegedly, at this point, she has not been convicted. She allegedly stabbied and shot her boyfriend Travis in a jealous rage, essentially, after she broke into his house. They got into some fun physical activities, when not bad physical activities. She took pictures of, and then she also happened to take pictures of herself committing the crime, and then heavily involved herself in looking for the real killer with the police. And so she ended up getting charged, and her trial was started in late 2012. In time right now, I think we are February 2013, and this is day 12. She takes the stand on day 13. Is it day 13? And then
I
she's
think
on,
it's mm,
yeah. And then she's on the stand for something like 18 days. And so that will take us, because we do this every Tuesday and Saturday, that will take us through Christmas with Jodi Arias on the stand. So this is, I'm highly looking forward to that. And if you go back to day 6, you will see some of the pictures that she took, which is all of Jodi Arias, all of her.
mm,
All 3 holes of the wonder that is Jodi Arias, as her boyfriend described her as.
mm.
So that's this
Yeah,
trial.
yeah. It's an interesting one and a very good example on how the two things you should say to an officer if asked, do you know? First is, am I under arrest? The second is, I want my lawyer. And then you shut the F up. And so this is a huge trial on that subject, because had she done that, she might have walked. She might have committed the perfect murder.
Yeah, no, she really would have, but for the pictures. And I don't know why she thought in the dishwasher, or the washing machine rather, that would have destroyed him. But that's what she thought, and
Yep.
we all benefit from that thought. Essentially, we all benefit from seeing these pictures and having this trial.
Mm. Well, let's no spoilers if you know nothing about it, but the trial ended in 2013.
The trial
Let's just
ended in
say that.
2013, but we're not spoiling the outcome. Right
Mm.
now, we are on day 12. This is the defense case in chief, by the way. The state has finished. The court denied the defense's motion for a directed verdict, and the state or the defense is now producing witnesses. So we'll see as this case goes on.
Yeah. And if you watch Tuesday, you notice that, at least according to Dave and me, it was, prosecutor starting to play dirty. That was interesting when he took the picture he was supposed to place on the, overhead, but it just happened to show it to everybody before and the defense objected, and he couldn't use it. But by then, everybody had seen it.
Yeah, we're starting to see some of the misconduct. Jodi asks, what's a directed verdict? So when the state is done with their case in chief, the defense will ask the court, say, Judge, you've heard now the entirety of the state's case. This is the best evidence that they have. We do not believe it meets all the elements required for a verdict. So take it out of the hands of the jury and say, there's not enough here. We're going to acquit the defendant. And find her not guilty, right? And so that's what a directed verdict is. It's like, okay, so real quick, DUI, right? You have to be over a certain limit operating a vehicle on a public road. So say those are the elements. And the state goes through and it calls its police officer to the stand, and it calls the other officer that did the testing and things like that. But they don't establish where this alleged driving took place. They don't allege that it actually took place on a road that's open to the public. And they're done. They've rested now. They can't call any more witnesses. So then the defense attorney could say, hey, Judge, they missed that element. You didn't hear any testimony as to where my client was actually operating this vehicle. Therefore, you must direct a verdict of acquittal. And so the judge would likely do that.
Yes. The case I covered, the Arizona versus Michael Turney, that was a directed verdict that was granted.
Yeah, that was a good call by the judge. And the thing is you don't see them very often. Everyone asks for them because it's kind of malpractice if you don't anymore. But that was a good directed verdict.
Many lawyers go through their entire career without getting one granted.
I've never had one granted.
Yeah, so it's very unusual. Very unusual. So it was a good call from that. I like that judge. I really
that was a good judge. And he wasn't afraid to make decisions. And that's honestly the mark of a good judge. Even if the judge is making a call against you, at least they're making a decision.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you right now, I have 2 cases out there where the judge was supposed to make an issue an opinion like 2 months ago or more, and they're refusing. I actually have 3 cases where the judge is supposed to issue a opinion on a motion that I filed, and I can't do anything until that opinion is issued, and I'm just sitting and waiting. And that's the sign of maybe a judge that isn't willing to make a decision or doesn't want to make a decision or is concerned. I don't know, but that shouldn't be in the judge's mind. The judge, their job is to make decisions like this. So,
yeah, but let's see what day 12 has in store for us. This part is 55 minutes. Part 2 is 42 minutes. We will try to do both today, so we will start Tuesday. Now, I don't know when on Tuesday Jodi takes the stand, but there might be Tuesday. We watch and hear Jodi Arias. Let's see here. Press play.
Mr. Freeman, please have a seat.
Mr. Freeman. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, different outfits. Maybe Jodi doesn't have that many to choose between, and the lawyer has.
I feel like the interesting thing that always runs through my mind if I have a multi-day trial is the outfits for myself, especially in front of a jury. And so I anticipate a number of days and I kind of line up the outfits. I'll switch between jackets and pants and shirts and ties. And I sort of have it in my mind how I'm going to line it up because I don't want to look a certain way sometimes and I don't want to look the same way other times.
Yeah. I have now I rarely do trials, but I might sit in on one once every 5 years or so. But I do have trial outfit. I have 3 jackets, 5 shirts, 5 ties, so I can move around a bit.
Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the delay in starting today. Mr. Freeman, you are still under oath. Do you understand? Yes. Mr. Nurmi, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Freeman, good morning again.
Good morning.
Yesterday, when we ended our discussion, we were about ready to talk about the trip you made to Sedona and the Grand Canyon with Jodi and Travis. But before we do that, it's my understanding that you felt yesterday that you had given some dates that weren't quite accurate. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Listening sound.
Let me go back through some of these timeframes with you. So now that you've thought about it a little bit, when do you recall meeting Travis?
I met Travis 2 years prior to my mission, which was, my mission was 04 to 06.
Yeah, he looks Mormon.
Okay. So the mission we talked about, you going to Canada, proselytizing, that sort of thing, that happened what years?
2004 to 2006.
Okay. And then, so prior to, you had known Travis before the mission, I think yesterday you might have told us after, but that was before your mission, a couple of years before, right?
Yes, I knew him both before and after. I met him through prepaid legal initially. And then once he moved to Arizona, we became better friends because all of my friends within prepaid legal lived with him and we started to hang out more. So by the time I left, he came to my farewell and hung out with me the week, quite a bit of it before I left.
And you said left for your mission,
For
right?
my mission, yes.
Okay. And then we spoke a little bit yesterday about when you came back from your mission. Did you live with him, just to clarify, before you left on your mission or when you returned?
I lived with him when I returned, the early part of 2007.
Okay.
I do believe I was there 3 to 4 months before moving back home.
Okay. Now, as it relates to your mission work, we spoke about the proselytizing and the process someone goes through. And I neglected to ask in that regard if you have been either as a missionary or you're a lifelong member of the Mormon Church, is that
Yes,
correct? Okay.
Could have fooled me.
Have you been involved in a baptism at the church?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And this baptism, from what you told us yesterday, is my understanding that occurs after, if someone is a new member of the church, so to speak, that happens after the long process that you spoke about yesterday. Baptism's the final step in that, right?
Yes, at the end of, they give up, a lot of times they give up many habits, whether it's drinking or smoking, or there's changes that have gone into their life, and they've shown those changes by how they've chosen to live their life up to that point. And they have an interview with either a member of the bishopric or someone in the mission who says that they're worthy to be baptized, and then they're taken
Prepaid legal ran
Okay,
through
so
the
it's a
Mormon church.
matter of, like you said, giving up things. They have to prove, in some ways, prove it to the church that you're worthy. Is that fair to say?
Yes, you must justify by the way you walk and act in the world that you have changed.
Okay. And that's for anyone who's baptized,
Anyone
correct?
who's baptized.
And the ceremony itself, could you describe that for us?
Yes, the usually they'll have a ceremony that goes with it, and there will be some talks, and either the missionaries or friends who have become friends with the person who will be baptized. They will usually have a short speech about baptism and what it symbolizes, what it means, and then they will have the actual ceremony, and then they will have another speech afterwards to talk about receiving the Holy Ghost and what it means to receive the Holy Ghost that they will receive the following Sunday. But the actual ceremony itself, they walk down into the water, and the person being baptized takes that person by their arm, and they hold them in the water, and it's above the waist, usually mid-stomach depth. And
Okay.
the person baptizing them raises their right arm to the square, pronounces a prayer, and immerses them in the water and rises them up again, symbolic of being buried in death and risen again with Christ in birth.
Okay. In terms of, and I don't know if I'm using the right verbiage here, but how would one be deemed qualified to baptize a person?
To be qualified to baptize a person, or to be able to baptize a person, first you have to be a member of the priesthood and hold the proper priesthood to be an elder in the church. You have to hold the proper priesthood to be able to baptize. And once you hold the proper priesthood, if you are a worthy holder, judged by the way that you live your life, then you are able to baptize.
Okay. Let's back up a little bit then. What is you mentioned a couple terms, priesthood holder and elder. Are they the same thing, or could you kind of maybe define both terms for us?
Okay. Within the church, there's two priesthoods, the lesser called the Aaronic priesthood and the greater called the Melchizedek priesthood. And within the lesser, there are deacons, teachers, and priests. And then within the greater priesthood, there are elders and high priests. And so usually the Aaronic priesthood, unless you join the church later in life, is a youth priesthood from 12 to 18. And upon turning 18, if you're worthy, you're ordained an elder. And as an elder, you have the ability to baptize and to give the Holy Ghost as well.
Love that microphone tinge.
Okay. To your knowledge, what position, if any, or I don't know, label, status, whatever word you want to put on it, what position would be attributed to Mr. Alexander?
Travis was an elder in the church.
Downward dog.
And
From
being an
behind,
elder in the
I don't
church,
know.
Right.
somebody would have to come with the idea that they were living in accordance with Mormon principles, correct?
Yes.
And including the vow of chastity, correct?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Were you present when Miss Arias was baptized?
I was not. She was baptized before I met her. Travis talked about it when we went over to visit her the first time I met her. He'd mentioned that he'd given her Book of Mormon and introduced her to the church.
Okay. At that point in time, did you have any reason to believe Mr. Alexander was not living up to the principles of your church?
No.
What do you think now, sir? I would have that would have been my
In
next question.
terms of,
He
before we
didn't
go
go
into
for
the
it.
trip again, as much as you can speak to your knowledge, was Mr. Alexander's peer group largely made up of members of your church?
Yes, it was.
As it relates to this trip to the Grand Canyon, Sedona, there was one trip to both destinations, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. We heard yesterday about, during the Havasupai trip, which was the same summer, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay. That they were acting as a couple, and there was also an undercurrent of couplehood, but a little tension, I think is what you described for us yesterday, correct?
Yes.
Okay. As it relates to their Mr. Alexander and Miss Arias acting as a couple, was that going on during the Grand Canyon Sedona trip?
During the Grand Canyon Sedona trip, I don't remember any
I think
tensions
that
between
is
them.
the
that I can recall.
actual from the stream.
I'm sorry, what
I
was
don't
From,
remember any tensions between them
microphones.
that I recall on
Okay.
that trip.
recall behavior consistent with them being a couple?
I thought he said
For the
cuckold.
most part, yes. The only thing I do recall was when we were to the contrary, was when we stopped in Sedona to eat that evening on
Okay.
our way back to Phoenix. We went to a small restaurant there that Travis had heard about that was good. And while there, he made a joking comment to the waitress about him and Jodi not dating, and in kind of a flirtatious manner.
Okay.
And I didn't know how to take it. I just smiled and moved on. It wasn't any of my business. But
And in a flirtatious manner towards the waitress, right?
yes.
Okay. And was Jodi sitting at the table at the time?
Yes.
Okay. What do you recall of her reaction? Not anything she said, but was she upset in any way that you could observe?
I couldn't tell that she was upset, but she seemed to feel uncomfortable or unsure how to take the comment.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you know what God's
Now
loophole is?
this, I know they both occurred in the summer of 2007. This trip to the Grand Canyon, was it weeks later? Was it months later than the trip to Havasupai?
I don't recall exactly the difference. I know that it was still cool outside when we went to the Grand Canyon in Sedona because we were in jackets in Sedona. We went and saw they had a Buddhist shrine there that we went and saw, and we were all bundled up because it was cold.
Okay.
And I know that we went to Havasupai, I believe, in September. So
Okay. Do you remember the sleeping arrangements during this trip to the Grand Canyon?
from that trip, from what I recall, and I was trying to
doesn't
think about
want to answer this.
actually last night as well, as I was home running through things. But I believe that trip we just did a day trip because I don't remember. I think we drove up really early to the Grand Canyon, hiked around, and then stopped in Sedona on our way back down.
Okay.
That's my recollection.
I had Mormons show up at my door the
I
other
guess
day.
there would have been no need for
Yeah, there was no
sleeping
need
arrangements.
for.
All right. As it relates to this particular trip, were you of the understanding that Travis was also dating Lisa Andrews?
No.
Okay.
Jeff H., I think he hit the nail on the head.
And on this trip, you say you noticed no tension.
That's exactly what it was.
No, aside from the comment at dinner, no.
Okay. Was there a point in time where you became aware of Travis and Jodi no longer dating?
Yes, once we had, this was after I'd moved back out, and Travis had started he'd made a lot more friends in the ward that was there. He'd started to have UFC fight nights at his house, and everyone would come over and watch the fights. And I recall many times that I would go over to the fights, and Jodi was still in town, still lived in Arizona, but she wasn't there because in that group of friends, them and Jodi, that was kind of the two different groups of friends. Was Lisa and the group from the church that was there.
Okay.
And so I remember fight nights that I would go to, but Jodi wouldn't be there. And that was in part because those two groups didn't mix.
Okay. To your knowledge, then, at the same time,
Jodi looks
you
so
talked about
happy.
those two groups not mixing. Were you aware of Mr. Alexander still spending time with Jodi away from that group?
Yes, I was. At that time, it was during that time, and that was after both of those trips. So it was later in that fall and that winter. I hung out and spent time with Travis and with Jodi separately for the most part. I heard about them spending time together, but usually there was no one else. At least I wasn't there when they spent time together. And I would hang out with them separately. And so I knew that there was tension there because they would both talk to me about one another and what was going on to some extent. But they were, I hung out with them separate, but they weren't officially split up. when they officially split up, and I don't know how that conversation went.
Okay,
I just know that in talking to Travis, he had said that he was going to talk to Jodi, or they were going to have an official conversation. And then sometime after that, Jodi had moved back to California.
okay.
Impish, is that right? This is the first guy that implicated
These-
Jodi.
These
Yeah.
times when Jodi and Mr. Alexander were spending time together, it sounds to me like from what you described, that was maybe just the two of them as opposed to in public settings. Is that accurate to your
Yes.
impression? Okay. And that was probably, to your impression anyway, was that something that a lot of people knew about, or just perhaps you and a select few?
I don't think a lot of people knew. I think there was more of a select few. Others may have known, but I know that Travis didn't talk about it a lot.
Okay. Did you know of Jodi and Travis traveling together, taking other trips together?
Yes, they went, there's 2 trips. I'm trying to think. One, I know they went on well, that one I think was a day trip. They went down to the balloon festival. And they had a
Okay.
lot of pictures that they took at that. It looked like they quite enjoyed it. And then they went on and I think it was around a convention that we went to, but they did a church history tour
Okay.
and took 3 or 4 or 5 days and went and saw church history sites that I recall them talking about.
Okay. So a church history site tour, so to speak.
It was a road trip around the US to the convention or to whatever was at the end of it and then back.
Okay. Since you brought up the church history trip, and we talked a little bit about baptism and your work as a missionary, in your interaction with Jodi, did you ever have any concerns that her conversion to the Mormon faith was disingenuous or motivated solely by Travis?
Approach.
And approach. Of course. What? Yeah. Let's skip up a bit. Travis family. As per usual, it's
Mr. Freeman, let me back up a step and ask you this. You talked about how at a certain point in time that you began to hang out with Miss Arias without Travis.
Yes.
And I believe, if I follow the timeline correctly, this was at a point in time when you were living back at home.
Yes.
Okay. And was that in Gilbert then, based on what you were telling us yesterday?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And who lived back at home with you at that point in time?
My parents, my brother, and one of my sisters was there.
Okay. Did Jodi also have a relationship with those other members of your family?
Yes, she did.
Close relationship?
Yes.
Okay.
She came by for, once she had moved to Arizona, she came by several times for dinner, for different things with the family, and she would help. We had my foster sister arrived there in the meantime while Jodi was there. We adopted a foster sister who was close to 18, and she had a photography class, and Jodi would help her with her photography homework. And when my sister Desiree and I would hang out and do other things, Jodi would come, and a lot of times it would just be the 3 of us, or work on vision boards, or do many different things that we would do.
Okay. We heard your sister's also a member of the Mormon
Yes.
Church, correct?
Yes, she is.
Are your parents also so inclined?
Yes, they are.
Were there in the times of these interactions, or even the interactions you had with yourself, did you discuss the Mormon faith or church or spiritual issues with Jodi?
Yes.
Okay. Several of those discussions?
A lot of the things we talked about had to do with spirituality or things that we were learning in general. The church specifically, I can think of several instances that we addressed her conversion, or we talked about how she joined the church, or things that were going on in her singles ward where she was at. But I mean, it wasn't a daily topic of discussion, but we did discuss it.
But you did talk to her about her conversion, her spirituality, how that worked for her, I guess. Based on those conversations, do you have any reason, in your experience, do you have any reason to believe that her conversion was less than genuine?
Objection, lack of foundation wasn't there when she converted. Hearsay.
Overall, do you may answer.
No, I do not have any reason to believe it was disingenuous.
Okay. It sounds like in this point in time, between breaking up with Travis and her moving back to California, that you and Jodi became closer. Is that correct?
Yes, between when they were separated but unsure of what they were doing.
Okay.
When Travis would hang out with kind of the other group of friends who I got along with more or less.
Is she going to accuse him of
We would invite, Desiree and I would invite Jodi over and hang out. And so we had
inappropriate
a number of
conduct?
things that we did. We became closer.
I have no idea. I haven't
And she
seen
was
this.
close to your whole family?
Yes.
Okay. I have to ask, in case the issue is raised, did you ever have a romantic interest in Miss Arias?
No, I did not.
How do you?
You did, didn't you?
She became a sister in our family.
What kind of a
After
sister?
Jodi,
Like the taboo
moved to
kind?
California, did you remain in contact with her?
We would talk on occasion if she came into town. And sometimes I'd find out she was in town after she arrived in town, but
Okay.
she would call and
Did
we
she
would
show
meet up
you
or
her
say hi,
third
or
home?
she'd swing by the house and see the family for the most part. And then sometimes go hang out with Travis or stop by and see him. But she'd just come by the house and hang out.
Okay.
Yeah. We pinned
Did you
each other's stream on the top
make
of the chat,
contact with her
so you can
after you found out?
move
that Mr.
between us and
Alexander
press
had
like
passed?
and all
Yes, I
that
did.
stuff.
Do you remember when that contact occurred?
Brent Hyatt, a friend, he was at Travis's house, and he had gone over there, and he had called me to tell me that they'd found Travis, and that somebody should probably call and tell Jodi. And since I knew her probably the best out of that group of friends from prepaid, he thought I should be the one to call and tell her.
Okay. And did you do that?
Yes, I did.
And I understand it was over the phone, but can you give us an assessment of her demeanor that you could discern over the phone when you advised her this information?
When I called, I didn't know what to say, I guess you would say. I had no words really, and it took a minute. And I told her that Travis had been found dead, and the other end was silent for a moment. And I didn't know what to take of that and just waited. And she after a moment, became emotional and started to cry on the phone. And I talked to her for a minute, but there wasn't anything I could think of to do to comfort someone over the phone. So, after probably 2 minutes, I let her go so she could be with herself.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman.
Cross-examination.
So with regard to this issue of spirituality and conversion to baptism, you were asked questions about that, right?
Yes.
You weren't present at the time that she was baptized, right?
No, I was not.
So you don't know her motivations at the time that she was baptized, do you?
No, I do not.
And one of the things that you indicated to us was that when a person goes in through this process, they give up certain things, right?
Many times, yes.
Well, one of the things they give up is sex, premarital sex, right?
Yes.
So did you know that the defendant was having oral sex with Mr. Alexander at the time of her baptism?
I did not know that.
So if somebody was having oral sex at the time of their baptism, you would agree that that wouldn't be a sincere, if you will, baptism under your definition, right?
I would agree that they would not be ready to be baptized.
And also you said that you called her when Mr. Alexander was found, right?
Yes.
And that occurred on the night that he was found, right?
Yes,
You were called by this individual by the name of Hyatt, right?
yes, I was.
And you ended up calling the defendant about 11 o'clock at night, didn't you?
That sounds correct.
And when you called her at 11 o'clock at night, it was via telephone, right?
Yes,
And when you called her on the telephone, you told her that Travis was gone, or words to that effect, right?
yes,
And you said there was a moment of silence, right?
yes.
And then that she began to, what, cry?
I don't know if you would call it babble, but to mumble, oh my goodness. And yes, to cry there, yeah.
And if you guys were pretty close though, right, back then?
Yes, she sounded disbelieving.
Right, but you were close is my point, right?
We were friends, yes.
And she would confide in you things back then, right?
Many things, yes, some things no.
Well, she would confide at least some things to you, right?
Yes,
And did she confide to you at that time that she killed Travis?
no,
So if she didn't tell you that she killed him, that's a lie, isn't it?
Objection is already made.
Rephrase.
Did she tell you that she killed Travis?
no, she did not.
Did you cut her off at any time during that conversation such that you didn't let her tell you that? Is that
No.
how rude? You weren't rude in any way, were you?
No,
You did give her
I
that
didn't
opportunity.
speak very much at all.
You gave her that opportunity, right?
Yes,
You also talked to defense counsel about a situation involving Mr. Alexander and his relationship with the defendant. Do you remember that? Specifically about Mr. Alexander having the talk with her, right?
yes,
And you told us that it was Mr. Alexander who told you that he was going to have the talk with her about breaking up, right?
Objection calls for hearsay.
Overruled.
You told us that, right?
yes. I had a conversation with Travis in which he said he was going to have a conversation with Jodi.
Right. And he was going to break up with her, right?
That he was going to officially separate because they were more or less broken up and that they weren't dating, but they would still hang out on the weekend or whenever one of them was in town or the other.
And he was going to end even that part of the
Yes.
relationship, right?
Yes,
And it was after he told you that then she moved to California, right?
yes.
The trip to have a supai, it didn't start very well, did it?
No,
And in fact, you went over to Travis's house, right?
yes,
And when you went over, you looked at a backpack that belonged to the defendant, right?
the backpack belonged to me, but it was full of her things.
And there were some things in it, right?
Yes,
And you picked up that backpack, right?
yes,
And when you picked up that backpack, you realized it was way too heavy, right?
yes,
And so you went through the backpack and started taking things out, right?
yes,
It wasn't Mr. Alexander that did that.
no,
And Mr. Alexander was standing there though, right?
yes,
And so was your sister, right?
I think so.
And as you're going through this, the purpose of taking all this stuff was that you were going to hike 13 miles, right?
Yes, it was to lighten the load.
Right. And if you're going to hike 13 miles, you really don't want to take a lot of weight, do you?
No,
And it wasn't that you were being mean or anything like that, right?
no,
It wasn't that you weren't doing it other than for a good reason, right?
yes,
And the reason was so that everybody, or at least the person who had to carry that backpack, would have a better time, right?
yes. And so Travis and I didn't have to split it up and carry it later
Right,
too.
right.
But yes,
And so when you took that stuff off, at some point, the defendant came down from upstairs, right?
yes,
And she saw that all of those items were out there, right?
yes, they were sitting on the table.
She became upset, didn't she?
Yes.
She got upset at you, didn't she?
She was upset in general and
All right.
more frustrated. It didn't seem that she was upset at any one of us in particular.
So she wasn't upset at you, she wasn't upset at Travis, she was just upset.
Yes,
And she was upset because this stuff had been taken out, right?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Did you know of any reason other than the backpack, as you sit here, why the defendant would be upset as you characterize it?
Calls for speculation.
Overruled. May answer yes or no.
Do I know of any? No.
And the items that you took out, they were makeup sort of items, weren't they?
Yes.
What else did you take out?
There's makeup, lotion, hand sanitizer.
Toys.
things, things of that
Toys.
nature. They're probably
Toys.
10, 15 pounds worth of different things.
Toys?
And
10 or
as she was
15
standing
pounds
there
worth of
upset,
makeup.
Generally, what happened after that, it escalated to the point where she went upstairs, right?
Yes, I don't remember what Travis said, but he made a comment partially and it was a sarcastic comment that he
The whole
made.
wonder?
And after he made that comment, she said something back and then she became emotional and went upstairs and Travis went up after her.
But she did say something back, didn't she?
Yes, and
To
they
dem-
went
to
back and
dem-
forth for a minute.
To demonstrate that she was upset, right?
Yes,
So it wasn't like she just sat there and took it. She responded back, didn't she?
yes,
And then she went upstairs, right?
yeah,
And then he went after her to try to take care of whatever was going on, didn't he?
Sustained.
He went after her, right?
he did go upstairs after her.
And they were up there for some time, right?
It was probably 20 minutes before I went up and I could hear them talking, but not what they were saying.
So they were up there for some time, right?
Yes,
And then you went up there, right?
yes,
And when you were up there, neither of them was happy, right?
no,
And this all started because you had gone into that backpack, right?
yes,
Travis hadn't gone into that backpack, right?
no,
Came back down pursuant to whatever it was that you said, right?
yes,
And then into the car you went off to have a soup pie, right?
yes,
And Travis was driving, right?
yes,
The defendant was sitting right next to him, right?
yes, she was.
And they were pretty quiet, weren't they?
Yes, they were silent.
He wasn't saying anything mean to her, was he?
No,
She wasn't saying anything mean to him, right?
no,
And at some point, whatever was in the air drifted off, right?
yes, it did.
There was a time when there was some picture taking. Was this done at the Grand Canyon?
We took pictures of Grand Canyon, Sedona, and at Havasu as well.
And was this picture taking that was done, did there come a time when Travis was asked by the defendant to stop? So
Can
that
you
the
pause it
defendant
for a
could take
second?
pictures?
Jeff says that's the real point that Travis should have told her to take a hike. There were so many different situations in which Travis should have gotten rid of her, but he was using her as a toy. And that's the bottom line. And so he wasn't going to get rid of his favorite toy, right? And then I just wanted to comment, Avery with $5 super chat. I just wanted to thank you very much. She saw me on Lost Souls, finally caught it live. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat and welcome. This is a dual stream with Nicholas and myself. He's hosting today, so I wasn't able to stop or pull it up or anything. But thank you very much and welcome. There is a member tab on my YouTube channel, which takes you to my Discord, which is where I have a lot of member stuff. So welcome very much. Welcome very much. Is that right?
Welcome very much. And
that works.
Yeah. And we are dual streaming, and we have each other's stream on the top of the chat, so you can bounce between us and give us likes, memberships, super chats, and stuff.
All that good stuff. And Troy, no spoilers. Right now, she is innocent. This is only day 12 of the trial. She is innocent. The state has yet to prove her guilty.
This is was it last Saturday when people started saying, I've never heard of this trial, which was okay for us who are within law and everything. We know about trials, especially of this magnitude, but there are apparently people out there that has no idea who Jodi Arias is, or about the trial, or the sentence.
I like Twisted Bunny's idea, a new Hollywood movie when sex toys strike back, the Jodi Arias story. That is great. That's what she was. He called her the three-hole wonder. He used her loophole to get around the Mormon restrictions. And
while trying to, every girl he dated for the past, what was it? They entered that singles pool at 18 and he was 28. So for 10 years, he has been dating without getting married. And for a Mormon, I would assume that's not a good thing. But then
and Avery says, Travis really did mess with the women's emotions, I believe. I believe that too. He
Mm.
was definitely using, and he was yesterday, or not yesterday's, Tuesday's stream had the finish cross-examination of one of the ladies he was trying to wed or bed, probably bed, who's also the Mormon faith. And the day before that, so a week ago, we heard her direct examination where there was an email admitted, and she was complaining of a lot of the same similar stuff. You know, you're just trying to use me physically and things like that.
Yeah.
So this guy was definitely a player, but does that necessitate the stabby part? You know,
Yeah, exactly. Even if you might find the argument he had it coming, yeah, but not that coming.
Yeah.
All his dates could have just gone to the church and said, "This is what Travis is up to," and they would have a stern talking to him and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
and
not,
Fedorovsky, we don't really see it in the trial, but if you read the prosecutor's book, there's a lot of insight into her mental state prior to even meeting Travis, as not testified to, but as made in various statements by Jodi's mother. And I think she actually made those statements at some point during this trial, but I'm not positive. But it was something that was in the packet of evidence that the prosecutor was going over.
yeah.
While we were driving?
While you were driving.
That sounds familiar.
He's thinking real hard.
If it was, I want to say from what I can remember, that if that did occur, it happened on our way to the Grand Canyon itself, just before we arrived there. Because I remember
So you remember it on the drive up to the Grand Canyon, right?
I remember there was a point somewhere that they did have a squawk, something to do with taking photos,
Right.
but I don't remember the specifics.
And you don't remember any particularly biting comments that Mr. Alexander may have made, right?
No.
And you don't remember any particularly biting comments that the defendant may have made, right?
No.
And when you got to have a supai, to get back to that trip, that was what, 3 nights? Is that what it was?
I think it was 4 nights, because I believe we had 3 nights in the canyon, or 3 full. We had 2 or 3
I don't think
full
this
days in the canyon.
prosecutor knows where he wants to go with this witness.
All right.
Yeah.
And everyone had their hammock,
He
right?
is building
Yes,
up
we
to
all had a hammock
something.
and sleeping bag.
At one point during the days, you did notice that there was some tension again between the defendant and Mr. Alexander, right?
Yes, it was the first day when we went to go swimming in the first waterfall. I was walking by Travis initially, and we walked over towards the falls, and my sister and Jodi were talking behind us. And we started to walk, and we were talking, and at some point it switched, and Travis and Jodi were talking. My sister and I walked
Can
ahead.
you
Right.
pose it
And you
again
could
real
tell
quick?
They were having some sort of
Sorry.
argument or problem, right?
Yeah,
So Corn Pope asked, was it the victim Mormon too? Yeah. So Travis was Mormon. Jodi wasn't. They met at a Legal Shield event, which is like prepaid legal services, kind of a pyramid scheme. And he convinced her to convert to the Mormon faith, and she was eventually baptized into the Mormon faith. But so he was Mormon first, and then he brought her into it. And that's why, when Fedorovsky said, or someone said that he was messing with her, or no, Avery, I think, said that he was messing with her emotionally. I mean, she switched faiths for him,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of the stuff that she was doing. I mean, yeah, she's crazy,
Yeah.
but he was not reciprocating at all.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how she made her switch, because her previous relationship was with a quite a bit older guy who bought them a house. And,
Yeah, she was living with this guy. They bought a house together. They were getting married. They were talking about it and things like that. And she left and just up and left that relationship in order for Travis.
Yeah.
So there was
And
that too.
Yeah, and I've seen in chat over the weeks that he oversold his importance within this legal shield scheme. That he made a lot of money and had his own house and everything, when in fact he didn't do very well and had to have 2 roommates to make payments on his house and stuff like that. So gaslight meet stabby stabby, more or less.
We were far enough ahead we couldn't hear what they were saying, but I looked back and clearly they were having a disagreement about something.
And you and your sister took off, right?
I just kind of waved and said, we'll be over there. And we went over and swam.
And after about an hour and a half, they joined you, right?
It was a substantial amount of time. We were done swimming by any stretch of the imagination by then.
All right. And when Mr. Alexander would put together, Mr. Alexander actually put the trip to
Yes.
have a soup bite together.
Yes, he did.
And when he would put these trips together, it's true that in this particular case, you really didn't have anybody to go with, and so that's why you invited your sister, right?
It was the same on both trips for Sedona and Grand Canyon. As I thought about people I wanted to invite, there wasn't anyone that I was dating at the time that I wanted to take, and my sister she was safe for everyone, and that everyone in the whole group could be themselves. So yes.
And after part of what was going on with regard to the defendant and Mr. Alexander is that part of the reason that you went along was that he didn't want to be alone with her, right?
Yes. He,
Didn't want to be alone with her, did he?
in a conversation that he had with me
The
previously,
answer is yes or no. He did not want to be alone. You were going along as a chaperone,
I
right?
don't know that I can say that he didn't want to be alone with her, but he liked that when I was there or when I and my sister were there, that they weren't as physical.
And
That's
you viewed your
contrary.
role as somewhat of a chaperone, right?
I didn't view my role that way.
That was contrary to what he said before.
Yeah.
Not this guy, but what the other evidence has presented. The other evidence was presented that Travis didn't like Jodi being around his Mormon friends because he was kind of ashamed of it. He was really using her, and so he kind of isolated her. That's different than what this guy is saying. This guy's saying Travis wanted him around. That's interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Remember that we had a conversation about this many years ago at your house? Do you remember that we talked about this?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember that this issue came up back then?
I do not, but I can say that I could see myself as a chaperone.
Okay. And it was because Mr. Alexander asked you to be there in that role,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
How tall was Mr. Alexander, sir?
That's a good question. He was about to my shoulder, so 5'8",
Right. And you're how tall?
6'2".
So he came up to about your shoulder, right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't an overly fat guy, was he?
No, he was fit. He worked out regularly, ran. When I lived with him, he was always working out and running, doing different things.
And how tall was the defendant back then?
I think she might be slightly taller than Mr. Alexander, but I'm not sure. I haven't.
I don't have anything else, thank you.
Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Freeman, you were asked about this, what was characterized as you being a chaperone for this trip.
Yes.
In that regard, let me back up. How does your church view two individuals who aren't married, of the opposite sex, traveling alone together?
That depends on who you talk to. I don't
Okay.
think officially
Self-heating flashlight.
it's probably frowned upon, but traveling together is probably not frowned upon as long as you're not rooming together or staying in the same hotel room, things of that nature.
Okay.
But
But if
I
you-
know it's not encouraged.
Okay, but if you were sleeping in the same room or same hotel room or whatever the accommodations might be, that would be problematic, right?
Yes, that would be discouraged.
And if you had two other people there with you, that would perhaps divert any suspicion or concerns in that regard, right?
Yes.
Okay. You also were asked, he said, well, because he didn't want to be alone with her. Were you in any, and he being Travis and her being Jodi, did she force her way onto this trip?
No.
We also talked about Mr. Alexander's fitness. You described him as being, I believe, to your shoulder, but you said he worked out regularly.
Yes.
Did you observe him work out? Is that when you lived together, or did you work
Yeah,
out
when
together?
we lived together, he would get up and go running every day, and he had numerous exercises he would do regularly.
Okay. Strong guy?
Yeah.
Okay, you see him lift a lot of weights?
Yeah, he would lift weights.
Punching bag? Did he have that when you lived there, or did you recall?
I don't recall.
Okay. You ever see him strike anything?
Overall. Yes, but I'm trying to remember when. It was either a punching bag or it was something like a punching bag. I don't remember if it was a punching bag, but it was over the course as we would do the UFC fight nights.
Okay. Powerful punch?
Yes.
You were asked about Miss Arias's, whether or not she would be worthy of being baptized if she was performing oral sex upon Mr. Alexander, right?
Yes.
Okay. And your answer was that somebody wouldn't be worthy of being baptized if that was the case, correct? Okay. But when we spoke earlier, we also talked about how someone attains the position for which they have the ability, I think.
I don't know why this
to
witness is
baptize
relevant.
someone, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that,
I'm not getting it.
No.
I'm not sure what point they're proving with this. Okay, so there was an argument and between Jodi and Travis, a fight, maybe sort of hinting to the idea that because remember, her defense at this point is self-defense, that he was attacked her, was out of control. So maybe that's where they're going with this, but it doesn't seem.
Yeah, lifting weights, punching bag. Seems like they suggest that he is able to punch, but who isn't? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe Salvador's not able to punch, but most people are.
be nice to Sal.
Oh, Sal's awesome.
Yeah.
a person who was receiving that oral sex, they wouldn't be worthy of that title, correct?
No, they would not be worthy to perform in the ordinances associated with that office at that time until they had gone through a repentance process.
And when we're talking
Repentance
about office,
process.
are we talking about when you said elder?
Elder.
Okay. So
Yeah.
based on your experience in the church, then, if someone in that position of an elder were to be violating the vow of chastity, they would lose their position in the church. Is that correct? Or they would lose that status?
They would not lose their status in that way. They would go to, if it is known that they are breaking the law of chastity within the church, especially with another member as well, they will go to a disciplinary council who will then determine what happens, whether they are excommunicated or Their priesthood office is
You are
removed,
not
or
worthy.
They go into a probationary period as for a year or for however long is dictated by the disciplinary council.
And what do you mean when you say probationary period? What does that mean?
If somebody goes into a probationary period, it's a term in their membership where they are not allowed to, they can come to the meetings and participate, but they're not allowed to partake of the sacrament, to give talks, to have a calling in the church, or to give prayers. And it's different depending on, it's up to the disciplinary
It's like
council. what it
old
looks
school
like exactly.
Catholicism here.
But in a probationary period, they're only allowed to participate as the disciplinary council states, and then they meet with that council regularly to update them on their progress and how they're doing in the areas of their life in discussion.
Could sanctions also include excommunication?
Yes.
Troy, did you make that girl break her Catholic
And-
promise?
If someone were to face that disciplinary council, you said they couldn't take the sacrament at church, right?
Yes,
That would
until
be
they're
one
told that it's
possibility.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They have limited
And that
slots
would
in heaven.
be
I forgot that.
Yeah.
Baja.
apparent to fellow church members if that was taking place, correct?
Not the disciplinary council. A lot of members may choose not to take the sacrament one week.
Okay.
Just for how it's viewed. It's viewed as a commitment throughout the week to remember Christ in your actions and to follow the teachings which we've been taught within the church. And so sometimes people who have felt that they have slipped up during the week, or they've done something that they regret, especially if it's something larger, sometimes they will, in a way of humbling themselves, forego taking it until they have proven to themselves, until they feel worthy again to partake.
Okay. So if you slip up, so to speak, you're not supposed to take the sacrament. Is that right? Or is that more of a
Again,
personal
it's a personal decision. At the same time, there are certain things like the law of chastity that you are supposed to address with your bishop if you slip up in certain areas. Law of chastity, or the word of wisdom, not drinking, smoking, things like that. In other areas, the smaller things, it's personal discretion, because the sacrament is also a commitment to say, I may have slipped up this week, but next week I will try my best to do better at those things.
Okay, that makes sense. Now,
This guy's boring, and
During
he's
the
not adding
entire
anything to
time-
the story.
you
No,
knew
not really.
Mr. Alexander and Miss Arias, whether they were boyfriend and girlfriend or not. Did you have any reason, or were you under any impression that Jodi was quote unquote stalking Travis?
No, I had no impression. I heard that from.
Did you have any
people,
impression that he was
that they would
putting
say
other
that he
stuff
didn't know
in
her.
Aris?
What I saw for the most part was Jodi was confused about where they stood as their relationship. She talked to my mother and I and kind of the family. She would voice her concerns about her uncertainty about where they stood in the home with us, but she would, Travis would text, they would text each other, and she would
Or
go
this is
swing
the
by, and they
defense
would hang
witness. What are
out.
they trying to?
And so I heard the accusations that she was stalking, but I always kind of shrugged them off because I never saw anything. in my
Jodi was
experience.
Would it
trying,
be fair to
and
say your impression
Travis
was
forced her,
that Jodi loved Travis?
insinuating stuff.
Thank you.
Maybe. It didn't get there for me. Oh, Feral Housewife is awake and in chat finally.
Sustained on foundation. You may inquire further.
You spent a lot of time with Travis and Jodi together, right?
Yes,
You went on trips together.
yes,
You spent time with Miss Arias as someone you
That
said that
tie
was
is
like a
brand
sister
new.
to you.
Because you can still see the
You
fold
said she
in the middle.
gave signs
Yeah,
to
that's
you that she was confused about her relationship with Travis.
yes.
Based on all those conversations and all the interaction and the interaction you saw with them together, are you under the impression that Jodi loved Travis?
Good for you, Dave. Good for you, Dave.
You say a Jewish princess after growing
At
up
any
in
point
Catholic
in
school.
time.
That's awesome.
Sustained.
When they were dating and you went to have a soup pie, in 2007 in the summer. Based on what you observed there, do you believe Jodi loved Travis?
Oh, there it is.
Did
Yeah,
y'all
I
see
thought I
this?
observed
Oh, GG, nice.
For you who are completely new, if you go back and watch the thumbnails, there might be some slight changes. And we may have, at the end of the trial, see if anyone finds all of them.
GG may or may not have spotted one.
May or may not. That's just a little fun we have with because some days are more interesting than others in this trial. So yeah, how about just have some fun with the thumbnail? But it took like 10 episodes before anybody noticed. And that was after I gave them the
Well,
hint of,
yeah, we gave pretty strong hints too.
Yeah.
I would say that. Like nobody noticed at all.
yeah. But the first 5 or 6 were really subtle.
What, if anything, has GG spotted? Well, Matt's is in my chat, so he can't see it. I should pull it up. Yeah, we'll just say that there's Easter eggs that Nicholas has planted in all of our thumbnails. That's the Florida Valhalla pick.
No, Florida Valhalla pick is not in the thumbnail.
So to get back to this particular witness, though, it's boring. I don't know what it adds. It's putting the jury to sleep. It's just talking about Mormonism. Yeah, you can hint all you want at she was passed around like a toy, but I don't think there's any testimony regarding that. I think maybe what they were trying to get at, like the last witness, is that Travis had a tendency to get angry, right? He got angry during this trip at some point. But still, they went on and on and on about a lot of stuff that doesn't pertain to he got angry on a trip once, right?
Yeah. Maybe trying to get a door opened in some way or form and never succeeding because this guy simply didn't answer in the way that opened the door. I don't know.
Oh, maybe they were gambling and they kept going and going because they were trying to get him to open the door on something. Maybe.
Or he's simply just a boring guy. But
yeah, I think he's just a boring guy.
Yeah, they are referencing talks they had earlier, so you had to have a deposition at some point.
Dirk, who hasn't gotten angry on a trip once, right?
Yeah.
Trips are sometimes unnervingly frustrating.
Oh, thank you, Farrell. Thank you so much.
Farrell's popping in on my end. Thank you, Farrell. One of my moderators comes in just for a second and then leaves me.
Well, she lives in your attic, so she sees you all the time.
True.
Yeah.
I believe she I believe that she did love him, but that she was trying to figure out where they stood. And she'd made comments to that. I just want to know where we stand.
Was that, without telling us what she said, was that the same impression about her loving Travis but being confused that she had in the fall of 2007 when she was hanging out with you and your family and discussing these things?
With regard to her feelings for Travis?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you also said in having those feelings, Travis would call her, text her, whatever, and she would come over to his house, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Looks like we have a few questions from the jury. Counsel, please
On
approach.
what?
Oh, because I'm not hosting it, Farrell. It's weird to see it on StreamYard and where I'm at. Okay, I'll give Farrell the credit. She's been in my chat. I'm just surprised she's awake. She was on with the expert for like 6 hours yesterday.
Oh,
Or at least he was on for 6. I think Farrell stayed for most of them. Although we never know if she's just sleeping in the background because she doesn't show her face.
Mm.
Yes, and Corn Pope, we are doing, apparently, as Corn Pope has devised, because we are dual streaming, we're doing a thumbs up competition between Nicholas and myself. And right now
Oh.
I've got 4 ahead of you.
Darn it. Everybody, get over here. You know, I can close your stream down.
Well, yeah, I suppose you can.
Yeah, so everybody
Why
pop
does,
over,
wait, hang on
give
real
me
quick.
like-
While the camera's on,
Hmm?
Travis's sister, why does she look that way? Is that the style or does she just look weird?
Well, we've seen her once in a while during the stream, and she has weird face features. And yeah, I don't know.
All right, sorry, I just didn't want to, but the screen was on her face, so.
Mm.
Oh, look at that. Now Nick has 2 more than me. All right, we got a rally here, guys.
Well,
Oh, wait, what happened?
Valhalla took his like back.
I thought it went down. You know, sir, I'm controlling of your stream tonight.
Mr. Freeman, the jurors have some questions for you. What is UFC Fight Night?
It's the Ultimate Fighting Championship. It's a televised cage fight, and so every time that they would
Very
have a
warm
fight,
and
Travis
light.
would have a televised. He had a projector and a big screen and surround sound on it. He would have a big fight night, and everyone would come out and bring potluck food, chips and salsa, and dip, and pizza, and it was just kind of a big party get together for everybody to hang out and talk and socialize.
Were the arguments between Travis and Jodi any different than arguments between other couples you have observed?
I didn't think so. No.
Were these normal arguments between a couple with respect to the severity and way they fought from your personal experience?
Yes.
Did you ever see Travis hit Jodi or be in any way abusive to her?
No, not whatsoever.
Aside from Jodi, were there others not included in both groups when events were held at Travis' home?
My sister on occasion, and
That's an interesting question.
Aaron Dewey. He was a roommate of Travis's as well. I don't know if he was there when I would hang out with Travis and Jodi, but I know that he was there when Travis would hang out with Jodi as well, because he was still a roommate in the house.
So by happenstance.
Did you ever hear Travis call Jodi names?
No,
Did you ever see Travis physically harm Jodi?
no.
Follow up,
Jury's
Mr.
paying
Herron.
attention. That's why I like jury questions. It really shows whether
Thank you, Your Honor.
I love them in Michigan too. We have them in Michigan.
Explain to us, you said you attended some of these fight nights that Mr. Alexander would host. Maybe the question makes me think, could you explain what we're talking about here? Are we talking about Olympic wrestling? What are we talking these fights entail here?
It's mixed martial arts. So boxing, wrestling, Muay Thai, any of the different styles as they're combined together. Just various conglomerate of mixed martial arts in any form.
So you said that in a very dignified fashion, Mr. Freeman, but are these really brutal fights?
Yeah.
Is that what we're
they're-
talking about
yes.
here? Okay, thank you.
From the state?
I don't have anything else.
Any other questions from the jury? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take the noon recess at this time. Please be back in the designated area at 1:25, and we will start promptly at 1:30. Please remember the admonition. Have a nice lunch.
Yeah, that's the fun thing in my serial killer Sunday streams, that they actually when welcome back from lunch. I hope you had a nice one. in the trial of Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh yeah, they were really going into the whole lunch thing.
Okay, that was part 1. And here's part 2.
Yeah, we're still going, people. We're gonna do all of day 12.
Yeah, so we start fresh on day 13 on Tuesday. And again, I don't know when Jodi takes the stand on day 13, just that she takes the stand on day 13.
Corn Pope, who are you rooting for here
What's
in
going
the
on?
thumbs up competition? She was like, "No, hurry up, quick."
I only have our pop-out chats up, so I don't have visuals on what's going on in. But we are doing decent numbers. We are above a combined 100 viewers, which means they're more than usual that are watching. So everybody who is new here, welcome. You have, what is it? 14 weeks of Tuesday and Saturday. We started this in May, didn't we?
Did we? Yeah, we have a lot. Actually, I could pull up the our playlist. I have a playlist, by the way, with all of them.
Yeah. So have I. So you can actually, if you just tuned in and wonder, okay, how did we get here? You can spend the entire next week just going through on my channel.
What?
And yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay, Jodi Arias playlist. I have 18 videos, including today's.
Okay, so 9 weeks.
Yeah.
Combined, so 18 videos. So if you watch one per day, yeah, you have a good time in front of you. But as I said, Tuesday, day 13, Jodi takes the stand at some point on day 13.
Nice.
Yeah. But let's go
It's gonna be a
with
lot of fun.
part 2. And for you who are new here and are subscribers to David and not me, hello, I'm a union rep. I do labor law. Been doing that for over 30 years, and I do mainly negotiations and individual workers' rights. So that's my profession. So yeah, if you have any questions about that, I do have streams sometime about my line of work, and I do have members-only videos about the subject. No, I don't take clients because I am contracted to a specific union. So I get clients directed to me, either on a one-on-one basis or as a group. Between one and the largest group I represented was 220, I think. That was
The
interesting.
man hosting an attorney as well. Oh, that was the question that you were answering. Sorry, I was busy doing other things.
Thank you for paying attention. Oh yeah,
He's Swedish, so we don't really count him as an attorney.
Yeah, and yes, I do have a tractor. Yes, let me show it real fast. There it is. So no matter how fancy car you have, how expensive it was and is, you do not have a tractor that says FCK. Just saying. Yeah. What does the license plate say again? FCK. And I can drive it on any public road. It's fun. Now it's been standing around because I need to change all the electrics in it. That's yeah.
So we're done with
Finding
this witness. I don't. So the next witness should be the last witness before Jodi. So we're going to get up to the point here by the end of today where the next day is Jodi, ideally, because I want to hear what she has to say.
Yeah. Okay. Let's jump forward.
She's looking very plain in that black shirt. She looks better in some of her other clothes.
Defendant and all counsel. Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience. I know
Hopefully you don't
were
lose power,
waiting
Rabbit.
For us, we were working diligently, so I do appreciate you being patient with us. The defense may call its next witness.
Yeah, the defense calls Lonnie Dworkin.
Mr. Dworkin, please come forward.
Mr. Dorkan.
D as in David, W-O-R-K-I-N.
Dwork? Dwork?
You solemnly swear the testimony you're
How do you
about to
say
give will
that?
be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. so help you God?
D-W-O-R-N-K? Dwork? Dwork. Oh, there's no N in there.
Good afternoon. Could you tell us your name, please?
Lonnie Dworkin, spelled L-O-N-N-I-E.
Lonnie
D as in
Dworkin.
David,
Dwork. Oh, there is an N. It's at the end.
W-O-R-K-I-N.
I'm Mr. Dworkin.
K-I-N.
What is it that you do for a living?
I'm a computer forensic examiner.
What does that mean?
I work on criminal and civil cases that involve digital evidence. The digital evidence can be in the format of a hard drive, a cell phone, audio forensics, most evidence items in the digital domain.
And what kind of training and experience do you have to do that?
Well, I have a degree in electrical engineering I received from Boston University. I worked for the U.S. Navy for approximately 7.5 years.
He's going to say a lot.
And project management.
That's going to get
capacity.
annoying.
I worked for Intel Corporation in a variety of roles, including product design and development, software validation, verification, as well as part of their quality organization, providing consulting to different organizations worldwide on systems development. And then after that, when I separated from Intel, I started my current company, CompuFor LLC. And in preparation for that, I took a number of technology training classes in the area of some of the forensic tools that I use, such as NCASE and FTK. These are forensic tools, as well as over the years, I've been doing this now for approximately 11 years, and I have attended conferences and additional training annually.
You mentioned some of the tools that you use, like NCASE. Are these some of the same forensic tools that police officers are use?
Yes, I've always made it a point to use the same tools that local, state, and federal law enforcement uses to the extent that they were available to me as a defense expert. And so NCASE is a very popular tool for mostly local, but federal also uses it on occasion.
All right, and then do you continue with ongoing education?
Yes, every year I attend boot camps and training sessions as part of conferences, or I'll attend specialized training
would have been
to
a drinking contest, not even I can attend to.
Technology and tools.
All right, and were you retained in this case, in Ms. Arias' case?
Yes, I was retained.
What were you retained to do?
I was retained originally, I believe, to look at some computer evidence. And throughout my
I just got it, Dave.
I have provided computer forensic services in a variety of technologies, including cell phone technology and computers.
All right, so we can be more specific, I guess. Let's talk about some of the things that you did. Did you take a look at some of the things that Mesa Police Department had taken in as evidence.
Yes.
And did you view them forensically? Did you do your own forensic work on them?
I need to
Yes.
get some more to drink.
I want to talk to you
Okay.
specifically about something that was labeled by Mesa PD as number 390633. Are you familiar with that?
633, yes.
Do you know what that is?
That is, as I understand, the victim's laptop
17.
computer.
Okay. Is that a compact Presario?
Yes, I believe it is.
And when you're working on these things, do you use the same numbers that Mesa PD uses?
Yes, I adopt their nomenclature, their numbering system, to make it easier for comparing my results to their results. So when
I don't even know what
I
he's
talk
saying.
about evidence item
I just hear
633, we're all talking about the same thing. If I have evidence that's brought to me that didn't come from law enforcement, let's say, then I would assign my own nomenclature to it using my own internal standards.
Okay. So one of the things that you did with Travis's laptop, were you aware that Mesa PD had also forensically reviewed it?
Yes.
Okay. And part of your forensic review, what does that mean? What are you doing to that computer?
I can speak,
Specifically the compact.
well, I can speak to my standard protocol.
Okay.
I follow this for every piece of evidence that I handle. When I'm provided a forensic copy of a computer's hard drive from law enforcement or from another expert for that matter, it's provided to me in a forensic format.
Imagine the transcript of this guy's
Known as
testimony.
an E01 or E01 file format. And that's because that's a file format that is associated with the forensic tool EnCase that we use. EnCase is the product name. It's made by a company out of Pasadena called Guidance Software. And so when I receive this evidence copy from law enforcement, it has certain
Just take a breath,
safeguards in
man.
it to help us ensure the quality of the evidence, to make sure that bits didn't inadvertently flip or change. It's a way for us to verify that the copy I have is exactly the copy that they have and nothing inadvertently changed. The copy I'm provided is a read-only copy. I can't make changes to it. So that's a nice safeguard as well. And the standard protocol that I was trained in and the training classes I've taken from Guidance Software is often attended jointly with members from local, state, and federal law enforcement. We all follow the same protocol. Essentially, we will mount the evidence item, and the first thing we'll do is we'll verify to make sure the evidence is intact. I don't know how much detail you want me going into beyond that, but I can go into further detail if you wish. But I can go on to the next step of the process.
What is the next step?
The next step would be to recover lost folders. Essentially, when parent folders are deleted, oftentimes the child.
Okay, so yes, Avery, it's hard to. I've been distracted by the ums, but this guy's a forensic computer tech guy, and he did a review of Travis Alexander's hard drive from his laptop. At least I think. I've been a little distracted by the 40,000 ums that have come out of his mouth in 3.5 minutes, but that's who this witness is.
No.
Oh my God, I'd be dead. I'd be so dead right now. In 3.5 minutes, that would be the end of me.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to more or less gulp to keep up with this.
You just don't stop drinking just the whole bottle.
That will be the fastest drinking stream I have ever done.
It's like Bluto style, right?
No, I'm not a stranger to downing shots, but that would take me down quite fast.
Okay, yeah, that's the end of that. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
In the middle of a sentence, like he splits a word and puts an in it. It's amazing.
Yeah. But it's one of these, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's all right. Power through. Ignore the ums.
folders or subfolders can still be recovered intact with their names and metadata. And so there's an end script. It's a feature built into the encase tool that allows us to quickly recover those items. The next standard step is to, was that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. The next step I always follow is I run a file signature verification. I've learned through my training and experience, sometimes people try to hide information because by changing the file extension of a file. So for example, if you wanted to hide a photograph, you could simply just change the file extension of the photograph from .jpg or JPEG to DOC, and the computer system in the registry would think it's a document. So if you were to click on that file, it would try to open it as a document and report that the file is corrupted. But in fact, the person merely changed the extension. So to make our examinations more efficient and faster, there are special scripts we can run to test for those kinds of conditions. And so the way the script works is it reads the actual file header for specific file types to flag it to see if the extension matches the header. And so that's just a normal practice. Sometimes file extensions could get changed accidentally, or so it's just a good practice to do that. So that would be the next step that I ran. After that, then the exam would turn towards specific areas of interest for that particular case.
Okay.
This
And so
guy's
the
not doing
specific
it to
area of
sound
interest
smarter.
With the compact, did you take a look at the internet history?
Yes, I ran actually two types of recovery. Ncase, as I mentioned, is a forensic tool and has some wonderful built-in features that allows us or helps us facilitate the recovery of certain types of information. One of the types of information is internet history. Internet history is very interesting in that when you surf the internet, if you're a Windows user and you're using Internet Explorer, there is a log file that's maintained that's not immediately visible to the user. The user may have an indication there's a log file there because oftentimes you can go back and look at your surfing history for that day or that week or that month. So if you want to go back to a site that you enjoyed, it makes it easy to do that. That's captured in a log file. That's one of the hidden files on the computer. And Ncase has the ability to recover these log files. The way the computer works is it will take the daily surfing data or log file and it'll consolidate it into a weekly file.
Nobody used
and it'll delete the daily file. Then it'll take the weekly log file and it'll consolidate it into a master log file. And that's how it works. That's how it knows what you surfed today versus yesterday versus last month. Ncase has the ability to not only display or present the current log files, but it has the ability to recover, identify previously deleted log files. And it can do this with multiple web browsers. As I'm sure you're aware, there's Internet Explorer, there is...
this is an interesting comment because I'm also covering the Young Thug the RICO trial, the Daubert hearings that were in January of this year, and the absolute travesty that is the state's experts that they want to call to the trial as experts. It's amazingly how bad those people are. And they had, and I bring this up as an example every time I talk about it. They wanted to have a forensic video analyst in. But once he testified to his training and everything and was cross-examined, all he did was pause the video, screenshot it, put it into Photoshop, and enhanced it. That was the entirety of what he did. And he has been hired by that county for well over 2 decades doing only that. So, yeah. Did you freeze, David? No.
No, sorry. I'm distracted by Farrell.
Yeah. Oh, is she up in the attic again?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I hear her up there. She's chiming down at me, asking questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I will be doing a new episode sometime next week about that Daubert hearing because it shows. I hope this is unusual for American trials in a Daubert hearing to have that amount of experts who then a jury listens to and believe, oh, this guy knows his stuff. And I'm listening in on the Daubert hearing and says, I have my 5-year-old niece is more of an expert than that guy. I mean, it's yeah, I just wanted to bring that up.
Firefox. Safari is also used on the PC now, as well as Google Chrome. And so NCASE has the ability to recover these types of records.
And did you specifically look at the compact as far as internet history?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And may I approach, Judge? When you do that, do you create a report?
Yes, I have the ability to generate a report, and this looks like a standard NCASE formatted report.
And I'm showing you what's been marked as exhibit number 419.
Real men use Netscape Navigator.
When you
and
generate a
SGs.
report, does it tell us then in your report, does it tell us some of that internet history?
Yes, it tells us the log file that the entry was recovered from. So I'm going to just pick one here. It says,
Yeah, don't tell me specifically yet what
Oh, I'm sorry.
the exhibit is. But when you run that report, can we learn then the timing of when that internet or that specific history on the internet occurred?
yes,
Can we learn the date?
yes,
And did you view exhibit number 419?
yes,
Is that a copy of your report with regard to the compact part of it?
yes.
Judge, the defense would move in exhibit number 419.
But he's there as an expert. Shouldn't he be allowed to, by his expertise, they should have had a Daubert hearing before this as well. So,
Well, they could have. The Daubert hearing is only there if the other side objects to this expert. So,
Okay.
So they might have objected and they might have had a Daubert hearing, but they also might not have.
Okay. But for an expert, that's kind of, as I've heard in other trials, that one is allowed to use to some extent hearsay.
Yeah, well, so when an expert is offering an opinion, the expert can take into consideration hearsay statements to create that opinion. In other things, and like they can listen to testimony and stuff like that, but that's only to form their opinion. They're not fact witnesses, so they're not testifying as to a fact. They're only testifying as to their opinion. So it's treated a little differently. And hearsay is permissible. They can't really state what the hearsay is, but they can say, "I've looked at these documents, and those have helped me form my opinion."
Okay.
Think of the medical examiner as the biggest one. They'll talk to people about how the body was found and what was around and things like that. And they won't necessarily go to the scene and look at it themselves. Well, that's technically hearsay, but they're using it to form their opinion.
Oh. I didn't need to pause it. Oh. This is one of these
Yeah, when you
things
pause it, and then when you come back, and then it's like 10 minutes of nothing.
Yeah. Yes, Corn Pope, it's unacceptable that my channel is 2 likes behind Dave's. Get over here, folks.
Look at that.
The 3 pages that I handed you, that's just a limited part of your report. Is that right?
Yes, the pages are numbered.
Okay. And actually, I know that these pages are numbered 1,505 through 1,507.
Correct.
So does that mean your report is probably longer than 1,507 pages?
Potentially.
Okay. And exhibit number 419, does this have to deal with just a specific time period on June 4th? The internet history I'm talking about. Do you need to see it?
Well, that's a subset of the report, so whatever items are on those particular selected pages, that's the only time frame you see. My full report did not filter and for any particular time period.
Okay, right. So in other words, if we want to know about a specific time period, we can flip through the pages and find that in the report.
That is correct.
Okay. At this time, Judge's defense.
Someone
would
just
move in exhibit
undid
419.
2
Any
likes.
additional objections? Objection overruled. Exhibit 419 will be admitted.
May I approach?
You may.
You guys.
Okay, so based on that report, can you tell us in on the first page, we're talking about when that compact was first, was accessed during that time. Does it give you a time?
I'm sorry, can you ask me that question again?
Yeah, let me do that again. Okay, so there's a lot of information in each little square of separate time piece. Can you tell us what that information, generally speaking, what information is it giving us?
Well, each piece is essentially a logged event. So it could have been a user, the result of a user interaction, for example, typing in a URL and hitting enter. It could be the result of a redirect on the internet. So each action is logged. On the 63 computer, for example, I think there were over 99,000 entries. Some of them are redundant, not all of them are unique.
Okay, and so can we look at the first action?
At the very top of the first page,
I don't think that one's complete. I think
it's not. It's
Okay,
just
so
a portion. So the first full,
the first full action.
yes, I'm looking at it.
Can you tell us about the first full action? What is it telling us?
Okay. Well, it's an action that documents a website that was visited and the date and time the website was visited.
Okay, can you tell us what website was visited?
Yes, it was youtube.com.
Okay, and the date and time?
The date and time is June 4th, 2008 at 4:08:11 a.m.
So 4:08 a.m. and 11 seconds, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. What else does it tell us?
It tells us the browser type. In this case, it's Mozilla, which is a form of Firefox.
And does it tell us anything else?
It tells us that the profile name that was used was Deanna Reed.
And what's the profile name?
The profile name is going to be the user account on the computer that the internet event was accessed with. So for example, with a Deanna Reed account, someone was logged into that account and then went to this website, and the log captured the website information and the user profile that was used to visit that website on the computer.
How does a user profile name typically get onto a computer?
Usually when you purchase a computer, it asks you to set up your user account. Oftentimes people will provide their first and last name. And subsequently, when you access your computer, especially if you use a password, it'll present you with the account name, and you might log in if you've used a password. So usually the user will create a login account, or it just depends on the history of the computer. If it was used or if it's a company computer, obviously that would vary.
Okay, and does it tell us anything else in that action?
Yes, it tells us the name of a file that was accessed, the YouTube file that was accessed.
Okay. And what was that?
The title of the file is drunk, in parentheses, Daft Punk dash hard bodies faster, stronger, and then close paren.
Okay. Is that all the information it tells us in that action?
Yes, and it has, of course, the path.
I was
So if we
muted.
went back to YouTube, if this video was still there, we could conceivably view it.
Hi, YouTube.
All right, so based on that information, does that mean that that particular computer was being used at 4:08 in the morning?
Yes,
I remember
and
reading
visiting that
about this.
particular website?
correct.
Okay, can you go to the next action?
The next action?
The next
There's a
action,
second, there's another action at the bottom of the page.
okay. And can you tell us the,
Travis was
Website?
watching violent videos on YouTube.
The website or
Ooh.
URL,
okay, I could start with the time. What's the time?
the time is 4:11 a.m. in the morning and 4 seconds.
Twisted Bunny.
Okay, and what's the website? Oh, what's the
The
date?
defense didn't know it was
The
a
date
music
is
video.
Also June 4th, 2008.
And
They were
what's
trying
the,
to say that he was looking
website?
up violent videos,
The
and it was
website
just a
is
name of a song.
youtube.com.
All right. And specifically, does it tell us specifically which?
That's
Where?
not good.
The title of the video that was viewed?
Yes.
The title of the video that was viewed is Daft Hands dash harder, comma, better, comma, faster, comma, stronger.
Okay.
Oh, I remember that song.
And the next action.
I think that was the Olympics song in
All right, let's start with the
2008.
date
Okay, June 4th,
Something
2008.
of the sort.
and the time.
It's 4:15 and 13 seconds in the morning, a.m.
Okay, and the website.
The website is again youtube.com.
Daft
And
Punk.
does it tell us specifically where on YouTube?
That's
The
the
name
band.
of the title of this file is Daft Hands dash double speed in parens faster, comma, better.
All right, and then to the next action.
The date
Yes, the date first.
is June 4th, 2008. The time is 4:24 and 0 seconds in the morning, a.m. The website is the same, youtube.com. And the title of the video that was watched was freewebproxy-air-proxy.com.
Okay, and is there another action?
So they are listening to
Yes.
music.
And
She,
tell us that one, please.
them, they.
The date is June 4th, 2008 at 4:30 and 27 seconds in the morning. The
Okay,
profile name is the same. It has not changed. It's still Deanna Reed. And at this point, now we're looking at Gmail. The actual URL is mail.google.com, which I know is Gmail.
okay. And the next action?
The next section, the date is June 4th, 2008. Time is 4:33 and 55 seconds in the morning. The browser is still Mozilla. Okay, the typed URL is www.travisalexander.net. The profile name is still Deanna Reed. And the actual URL that was accessed was page googlesyndication.com.
Okay. And is there one more
Hey,
action?
you.
Yes.
And what's the date on that?
The date is also June 4th, 2008. The time is 4:35 and 45 seconds in the
Tweet is here
morning.
as well.
Still Mozilla. The URL that was accessed is travisalexander.net. And then there's a path. Do you want me to read the path as well?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Um,
And then it's
They all had MySpaces back then, right?
Deanna Reed as well,
Yeah.
and the Google syndication.com as well is the URL.
okay. So is that the last action?
That is the last action.
Okay. And so based on that information, can you tell us then that that computer was being accessed at 4:35 in the morning?
Yes.
And that, and between the hour of, I think, when did we start? 4:04 in the morning?
4:08
4:08.
a.m.
4:08 in the morning to 4:35 it was being accessed?
Correct.
All right. Let's talk about your work that you did on an external drive.
Okay,
Okay, and I'm talking about one that was initially broken.
yes.
Okay. Do you remember when you received that?
No, I'd have to look at my records.
Can you do that, please?
Yes.
Is that possible?
I need my folder.
Eris is requesting a later stream or move it to 8:30 or 8. I mean, it's a joint effort
Yeah.
for the Lego stream. But you can catch some of it, and you can always watch it on replay too. It's gonna be a good time.
Thank you.
I'm doing fine, Tweety. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, and I'm doing surprisingly fine today, considering I ate one of the strongest chilies there is yesterday.
Yeah, that was bad. That was
The entire folder or just his note?
had the prospect of turning out worse than a drinking stream. Really
Yeah.
quick.
Mm,
But I heard
Yeah.
you did good. I wasn't able to stay for all of it, but I hear it went well. And Solomon jumped on too, right?
yeah, Solomon was there, and him and Sal had interesting discussions while I was trying to catch my breath. And yeah, that was very interesting because one of the chilies I ate was supposed to be medium, 50 to 100,000 Scoville, which is like a third of a habanero. But I grew it from seed myself, and I use a specific soil mixture. And apparently that made it a whole lot stronger. So it was a bit of a surprise. That was the first one I ate, the blondie from Gertrude the plant. And that was interesting. And then I continued with different kind of chilies. And then since the stream did so good in super chats, I finished off by eating a Jay's Peach Ghost Scorpion, which is a hybrid between a Butilokia or ghost chili and a scorpion chili. That was massive.
What'd you put in
It
the
took me-
soil that makes them hotter?
What?
You said you had a special soil
Yeah.
that makes it hotter.
Yeah, because that soil optimizes the amount of nutrients it can absorb.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So, for instance, if you go to a store and buy normal chili fruit, that is probably stressed up in a big chili farm, and so the ordinary ones, ordinary red peppers, not that particular. Well, depending on what you're used to, of course. But if you grow it yourself at home, just in soil, ordinary potting soil, the difference between a red pepper and your homegrown pepper, it can be 3 to 5 times hotter and much more taste than a store-bought one. And yeah, so I had much fun.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, Corn Pope.
I'm so sorry, Medita Finn. Yeah, I got the hiccups. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was I'm glad you survived.
Yeah. It was a very good stream for me, so now I can actually get all the replacement parts for my car. Because my AC in the car decided 4 days before I was supposed to take an 8-hour drive to the cottage, it decided to break. And yeah, so we've ordered the necessary parts. It takes between 8 and 10 days for it to arrive, and then into my cousin's car shop and replace. So
Nice.
thank you all. So I might be going somewhere this vacation period. Yes, we don't give legal advice. I can't be hired because I'm contracted. David, you need to hire him, and he needs to accept you as a client. And you have to be in semi-Canada. What's it called again? Michigan?
Michigan. You have to show up
Michigan.
at my office too.
Did family
Yeah.
need it? Okay.
I think it was blonde when they met, Avery. Jodi's hair was blonde, I believe, according to the testimony, when they met.
Okay, thank you. Exhibit 421. That refresh recollection.
She was blonde with the previous
The
one as
external
well,
Yes,
with the previous guy.
it was on October 25th, 2012, at approximately 11:26 in the morning.
And what is it that you received?
I received a 2.5-inch internal hard drive. That's the size of a hard drive you would find in a laptop. And a bag of parts from an external enclosure that would be appropriate for use with that hard drive. So it appeared that that hard drive may have been in that enclosure at some point, but this enclosure was provided to me as a bag of parts.
Okay, and actually, did you receive a mirror image or something? Did you receive something else, I think, in November that had to do with this external drive? A mirror image?
Yes,
Okay, when was that received?
Yes, total wholesome content in my Discord. If you become a member, you get access to it.
Yeah, very wholesome. Wholesome.
Yeah, Farrell, you spelled wholesome wrong. It's whole, comma, some.
Refresh your recollection as to when you received a mirror image?
yes.
All right, and when was that?
That was on November 5th, 2012, at approximately 4:57. And I can't read if it's AM or PM. And it wasn't received directly by me. It was received by a representative of my office.
And what were you asked to do with that mirror image? Well, let me ask you this. I'm sorry. What's a mirror image?
A mirror image is another term that's used for a forensic copy. So earlier in our discussion, we talked about my having received a copy of the victim's laptop from the Mesa Police Department in a forensic format. This also is the exact same format, just a different evidence item, different hard drive.
Okay. All right. And what were you asked to do?
I was asked, I don't recall what I was asked to do.
Were you asked to pull photographs, everything you can off of the mirror image?
I was asked to process the hard drive using my standard protocol. I don't recall, without looking at any notes, what specifically I was asked.
Don't
do.
forget
I
to
do
like
remember following
the
same
stream if you're
protocol.
on my channel.
Okay. So that standard protocol, would that involve using EnCase?
It would involve using EnCase. I believe on all of the evidence items I had received, I recovered all photographs, messages, and internet history. So I would expect I had done the same with this device as well. However, this particular forensic copy posed a unique challenge.
What was that?
The copy I received was made from the original hard drive, but the original hard drive was not functioning. It was damaged as it was related to me. And therefore, the hard drive had to be sent out from Mesa PD, as I understand it.
Is he implying that the prosecution or the cops destroyed the hard drive.
So I think he's getting at.
Yeah. So he received a copy of the content, but the actual hard drive was not functioning. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Bit more of
What are they trying to hide?
Yeah.
To a specialty service to try to make the hard drive operational. And then once that was accomplished by this third party, they created a NCASE or forensic image and returned it to Mesa PD. And then I received a copy from them.
Okay.
And so normally, if I receive a forensic copy and the copy was made from a working computer, a working hard drive, I can easily add it to my forensic tool and I can open it up and it'll appear to me as any Windows hard drive. I will see a file system, I'll see folders, and I'll see files. In this case, because the first sectors of the hard drive had been damaged, the master file table that enables or establishes the file system, the folders, file names, and all and such had been damaged. And so I had to run some extra special or some unique scripts and do a little bit of searching to essentially reconstitute the file system. NTF file systems, this is a common file system often used by Windows, certainly Windows XP and Windows version 7, often has a backup. And I was able to search the hard drive and locate the backup file system. And using that, I was now able to view the content on the hard drive. However, I was also aware that the copy I was presented, the portions that had been damaged had in its place of having the normal bits that we'd expect to see, the service had written unrecoverable. So I knew those sectors were not usable and did not have any evidentiary value.
Okay. Ultimately, were you able to pull different information using NCASE off of this mirror image?
Yes,
And was some of that information photos?
yes,
And
Yeah.
That's
when
what we
you
call the
pull
backup
photos
files.
off, were you always able to get information about when those
He
photos
had
were
to
taken?
backdoor
not
himself.
always.
Is that due to the damage on the external drive?
Some of it yes, and some of it no.
Okay. All right. Judge May approach.
This defense counsel looks like she should be governing Alaska.
Yes,
Yeah, she can see Russia from
Photos that were
her
taken off of this mirror image.
yes,
living room.
And I see there's a timestamp on the front of the photos. Is that right?
correct.
Is that something you put on there?
No.
Okay, so what does that come with the photo? That timestamp?
This is how the photo appeared to me on the evidence item.
Okay. All right, defense moves, I forgot the numbers. Defense moves to enter exhibits number
393, 394.
393 and 394.
Section relevance. You want to make a family item on that?
You may.
That's a,
May we have it up?
He's asking to voir dire the witness. You may.
Okay.
sir, with regard to that part of the human body that's there, do you know who it belongs to?
I do not.
That's not your area of expertise, do you, is it?
No, it is not.
I object on the grounds of relevance and lack of foundation.
Now you may approach.
Thank you.
He's such an angry little elf.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the body part is not his area of expertise, but getting the photo from the hard drive is his area of expertise.
Right.
And he can
And to say that
identify.
Just to say that it's not relevant. It's, anyways, I hope they get the
Yeah.
hard drive in. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I read the book, but I don't remember if they get it in. They don't voir dire in front of the jury often. Sometimes they allow it, just depending. But yeah, that was appropriate voir dire. And then now the judge is going to do a little conference at the bench to determine, if it's going to be admitted. Oh, he is, David. I was waiting for the huff. Yeah. Yeah, he's just an angry little elf. And that's why I said I don't think he was prepared for the last witness, the first one we watched today, because he was just sort of having a casual conversation with the witness, just asking casual questions. If he knows where he wants to go, he's just like all like worked up about it. What's going through Jodi's head right now? Do you think this is working? Do you think they're buying it?
Something of that sort. Please let the hard drive in. Please let the hard drive in. Please let the hard drive in. Oh, he's reading through his report. That's not really allowed. It looks like that anyway.
Please
they
be
laid the
back in the
foundation.
designated on Monday at 10:30
Oh.
a.m. We will
that's
start promptly at that time.
No,
Have a nice
maybe there's gonna be
weekend.
some
Everyone with the
argument, though.
admonition, you are
Yeah,
excused.
there's 3 more minutes, so there might be argument.
Because knives are sharp and bullets travel.
Yeah, and previous guy testified that Jodi was actually taller than Travis. So even if he's still a guy who works out and stuff. But if you're caught by surprise, anything can be lethal. And stabby might get you into shock and runaway mode. And that was probably what happened. He tried to get away, hence the bloody sink and blood in the hallway while she stabby, and then kablam.
Avery asks why they're not allowed to read from reports, because the reports are hearsay. So they're not allowed to read from them. They can only testify as to their own memory. Now, if they need to refer to a report in order to refresh their memory, they can, but they can't read it. So I hope that helps.
And I thought it looked like he was actually reading through some papers during that.
Well, those were exhibits. He was reading he was reading the report that he generated that they were moving to admit as an exhibit based off of his review of the hard drive. So that's different than his report.
True.
All right, counsel, is there anything else for today?
Oh, they didn't get the hard drive in. Or they will
rise to the need, I should say.
They have cross-examination of this guy then before Jodi takes the stand.
Alter the schedule of proceedings in terms of our experts and that sort of thing. In that regard, we had discussed the motion, the prosecutor misconduct motions, and Ms. Hughes coming to testify on the 13th, and I just wanted to know if that is going to happen in terms of scheduling our experts.
Are they asking for the prosecutor?
And I would
to
ask
testify?
that Mr. Deuce, Gus Searcy also be here on the 13th. So,
Oh my God! Pause it.
I know that.
This is. I'm having flashbacks of The Princess Bride with Andre the Giant next to what's that guy with the lisp, right?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Like the extremes of the human physique, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Okay, sorry, I just saw that.
Oh, yeah.
He's like a full 18 inches minimum taller. And just
he could just
awesome.
walk over and belly bump this little prosecutor to oblivion. Oh, I've had enough. Kablong.
Oh, just that frame right there is perfect.
Oh,
All right.
I need to screen save this.
Inconceivable. Yes.
Inconceivable. Oh, please let him say it at
Your
least
Honor,
once
this is
during this.
inconceivable.
Your Honor, this is inconceivable.
Oh, that's great.
Let's go
Uh,
back a bit.
That is going to happen in terms of scheduling our experts.
And I would ask that Mr. Gus Searcy also be here on the 13th. So I know that Guy Hughes will be here on the 13th as directed, but I'm also asking that Gus Searcy be here also.
Dr. Hughes?
Judge, as discussed, Mr. Searcy requested to appear telephonically. He did not advise the 13th being a day that he was available to be in Arizona.
he had
All
to
right,
read
well,
that
I will allow
sentence.
Mr. Searcy to appear telephonically, but he will need to be available when we call him, so you'll need to have a number where we can reach him.
I will work on
Oh,
making that.
telephonic
I assume
testimony is
then we
worse
will
than
not
Zoom.
be-
I'm having, because here they say they are talking about the 13th of her taking the stand, but now they are discussing other experts.
They're
So,
trying to line up, I think,
Mm.
a schedule for the experts, which is very typical when you have experts or professionals that are testifying in a hearing or a trial. Is trying to schedule everything. One of the reasons why, which was interesting, the prosecutor, I like this technique though from the prosecutor. If you recall watching all the prior trials, you would see a little bit of her police interrogation, and then we'd get another witness, then you'd see another little bit of her police interrogation. Because of scheduling issues with the witnesses, the prosecutor said, well, in between each witness, if I don't have a witness available, I'm just going to throw my investigator up and we'll play a little bit more of the of the interrogation video. So that way there's no downtime. That way we're not playing 3 hours of interrogation video, boring everybody. So it was really good.
Telephonic.
Yeah, telephonic. Yeah, smoke signals. Yeah, telephonic testimony is going to be horrible. Way worse than Zoom. You guys are in for a treat.
Yeah. So, but the scheduling might be interrupted by Jodi taking the stand and then being on the stand for a lot of days.
Pip, I would absolutely do that if YouTube wouldn't claim it immediately, or someone would claim me. Yeah, Jessica Tate, absolutely.
Yeah, I was asked if I would do a stream because it's USA versus Sweden in the Ladies World Cup tonight my time, or tomorrow morning my time. But I can't because my channel would be cheated and I would have a copyright claim against me in the mail the next day. So
I'm gonna find a way to stream it. I'm absolutely streaming US and Sweden soccer. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Sunday, 5 a.m. my time.
Can you do that on Discord?
I could do it on Discord, absolutely. So if you guys are members, if I can't figure out a way to stream it, I'm going to stream it on Discord. So if you want to see me root for the Swedish team, because the U.S. women's soccer they're horrible human beings, and I don't want them to win, then I will absolutely do that. And if you're a new member, I know we have a couple of new members. A link to the Discord is under the member tab. It's available only to members. So if you want to watch it with me, you'll have to become a member if you're not one.
Yeah, and I barely know how to YouTube, so having that on Discord, I do have a Discord for my members, but I have no idea how to do that, and I don't think my moderators on Discord knows how to pull that.
You can come over and watch it on mine.
Yeah, I will. I'll just check in at what time it starts, Swedish time.
So, Atheist Ant, the only time that your lying guilty client should take the stand is never. But if they have to, it's only because there's information out there that you cannot get, absolutely cannot get in the record without your client testifying, and it is absolutely necessary. One of those situations is self-defense. And since Jodi is
Yeah.
claiming self-defense, she absolutely had to take the stand. So
Let's see.
put your
Similar-
live stream in your outer Discord. I maybe I'll figure it out.
Well, Swedish ladies national team, they do sing our national anthem. They don't keep quiet. That was really disrespectful. You sing, you stand up, you place your hand on your heart, and you fucking sing the national anthem of your country. That was ridiculous from the US ladies team to just stand there.
Everything that they do is ridiculous. Eris, you're a member, so you can get at Discord. But I mean, I have 200 some plus members. We'll do it.
Yeah, and
We'll
if any
figure
of
it out.
you who are my members who absolutely because we desperately need someone on the Discord who knows Discord. So if you have that special ability, we really need your help.
I agree. Discord has been lacking in nudes and cookies lately, so we're going to have to fix that. Aries is going to bring the cookies, it sounds like. So C-Swept, you can bring the nudes.
Oh, well,
You
let's
can't
finish
tell
off
my okay.
this last minute here.
The afternoon of the 13th.
That is correct. We will complete the evidentiary hearing on the 13th.
And Judge, I know that I'm going to be asked about this. May Ms. Hughes also appears on court.
Well, Mr. Searcy has already been to court and appeared, or has had an opportunity to judge his credibility, see him in person. I have not had that benefit of that with Ms. Hughes. So unless there's a stipulation between the parties, she should be here in person.
I will contemplate it, but I highly doubt that I would agree to that.
Sir, you may step down. Thank you. Is there anything else?
No.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. That was day 12. It became almost interesting. David is hearing voices in his head.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, no, that was it started off a little boring, but I liked the tech guy. He that was interesting. It's just so funny that they were pulling out music videos and saying, look at all this stuff he's looking up, not realizing that it's a song from a fairly famous band.
Yeah, back in 2008,
that was
Daft
great.
Punk was they were huge. I mean, not recognizing. I know. As soon as I heard, I know that song. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget too, we have Legos tonight. I'm opening the package already. We got Legos with Valhalla and stuff tonight, and then tomorrow, Sunday, Nicholas is doing his Serial Killer Sunday, right?
Yeah, Serial Killer Sunday, and I will do it a bit different because it's been transported over to Rumble because YouTube just demonetizes everything I do nowadays. So I get absolutely zero ad revenue. So I'm working up an audience on Rumble. But I will try to start on both YouTube and Rumble and then continue on Rumble. So I can build more of an audience there. Yeah. Yeah. It's still Dahmer. I do think we have maybe 5 or 6 episodes left of the Dahmer trial. And then we will have one stream with the interview with the father, Jeffrey Dahmer's dad. And then we might go over to the Eileen Vores trial, the Florida woman serial killer. And the reason why I chose that is because Steve Gosney was involved in the prosecution of Eileen Burris.
That's amazing. That's going to be very cool
Yeah.
to talk to him about that.
Yeah. So that will be really interesting, and I hope he can show up for most of those streams. I've been talking to him behind the in the background, and now he does have a big death penalty case currently, but at the time of Jeffrey Dahmer's when we are done with that trial, he should be done with, or at least it should have been calmer for him, so he can join. And let's see.
Yeah,
here.
like Fedorovsky says, he missed it last week because he didn't know you switched it over to Rumble. So starting it on YouTube is probably going to be a good idea. Everyone's going to see it, and then you're going to give them 15, 20 minutes and say, all right, now jump over to Rumble, get over there, and shut it down.
Yeah.
That'll be good because people, I think, we're missing it with you just doing it on Rumble.
Yeah. And I'm going to redirect you all to Valhalla Awaits stream, the Lego stream, because he needs watch hours.
That's right.
So go over to Valhalla Awaits, like everything he's ever done, and watch his stuff so he can get monetized.
Exactly. And I am redirecting you guys actually over to Salvador's stream because I'm going to be over there.
Her name is Vornos, not Vores. I'm thinking of Jason Voorhees every time. Friday the 13th monster.
Oh, yeah. Jason Vortees, something like that.
Voorhees. Yeah, so Eileen Vornos, it's her name. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's get our like count in. Let's see where we're at. You have 77. I have 76. No, I have 77. We both have 77. I can unlike you, or we can just call it a tie.
Let's call it a tie. Yeah, we call it a tie.
Good one. That works.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you all for showing up. And watch the Lego building nerdy stuff later with David and Valhalla. And I will see you tomorrow on Serial Killers